But anyways, well, welcome back to the Apps and Asphalt podcast. This is going to be episode, I believe, 14 that we're going to drop. And I have on here two awesome studs out in, well, they're kind of split up a little bit, but they're with the Pavement Group, who is based in Pennsylvania, or is it right in Pittsburgh? Is that where headquarters are at?
Yep. Just a little north.
Just a little north, okay. But we call it quote unquote. Okay, call it quote unquote Pittsburgh. That's easier for everybody to remember. Just like us in Denver, we just call it. We're really in Commerce City. We just say Denver, so same thing. But yeah, so you guys part of the Pavement Group. Obviously, if you guys haven't heard of the Pavement Group, you guys probably live under a rock. If you're in the pavement industry, also, you guys are an instrumental part in Brian's top contractor school, and that's how we've gotten connected was through that. Through you guys' company, we do some work for you guys as well here locally in Denver. I don't think anything yet in Arizona, but that's coming soon anyways. So we're just excited to have you guys on, and thanks for connecting. So Todd and I were talking a little about Super Bowl because we just had an awesome game that we watched last night. What were your thoughts on it, Eli? What'd you think of the Super Bowl?
Oh man, overall I'd say it was a solid game.
Yeah.
Maybe the last minute and 30 seconds was questionable, but it was a good game. We enjoyed watching with some friends. Overall it's pretty solid. I've seen some blowout Super Bowl games, so I'm glad it wasn't that.
Well, especially the national championship game this year was freaking horrible, and so it's nice to have not a championship game that's all blown out like you just said, and actually has good competition to it. But are you guys Steelers fans, being where you're at?
I'm not. I'm up in Boston.
Oh.
So I was a Steelers fan when I was a kid because the Patriots were terrible. But since around 2000, I've been a big Patriots fan.
Okay. Well, I guess we can save that for another conversation. But anyways.
Let's have it right now.
Yeah.
Cool Monday. We should be talking about Tom Brady again. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right. We're done.
But Eli, who's your team?
So Green Bay. I grew up in Wisconsin, so Green Bay for sure. But since moving out here, I have found a love for the Steelers, and Steelers fans are just another breed, man. I found the Steelers fans are actually pretty nice, but they love their team, bro. Steelers fans are committed, and it's beyond that, it's the team. I enjoy the team. The city that it stands for.
Yeah.
It's great. I love Pittsburgh, but yeah, I found a love for
Pittsburgh. Makes sense. Todd, were you surprised that Brady went out this year, and did you think he would come back and retire as a Patriot, or?
Well, I think they'll probably still do a one-day contract type of thing and make it ceremonial. At least I know Bob Kraft is trying to do that. But no, at some point, I think so much kind of fell apart in his personal life this year, and that was probably a strong enough sign to him to say, all right, yeah, maybe I overdid this a little bit. I don't know. I'm not there, but, an outsider looking in, I'm guessing he realized he pushed the envelope in many different ways, maybe as far as he could,
Yeah, and Giselle, or whatever his wife's name was, is having none of it. So, which makes sense. He's been so tied up to the game, and, anybody of his stature and caliber, I'm sure he doesn't half-ass anything, isn't very present when he's home because he's gone all the time. He's got so many endorsement deals, etc. It's hard to live that life for that long to where finally something gives.
And then if he's going to get into broadcasting, which I think they said 2024 will be his first year with Fox, that's a lot of travel. That's a lot of time away from home. They're usually there checking in the city Tuesday, doing their interviews and all their research, and then doing the games on the weekend. So, that's another half a year anyhow that he's gone.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's not a lifestyle. All the other stuff seems great, but that would be a hard lifestyle. That's not something that I really envy. No. Having to take that much time away from your family and being cities and all over the country all the time. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I do that. Okay. But as a national sales or as a quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah. We're not too.
At that level, man, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. You got to have probably a partner that's right. You know, you guys are in lockstep with how it's going to go, and they're taking care of things at home, and you're out on the road doing all that sort of stuff. It's that'd be a tricky relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, you got to juggle a lot for sure and make sure that your partner, like you said, is on the same page. So speaking of partners, Eli is a couple months in the married game, man. How's that been? How was the wedding? Yeah, there you go. Showed off. You had the wedding actually here in Colorado. How was it, man? What'd you think?
Dude, it was amazing. The day was wonderful. I can't say enough about, Denver. We actually had 75 degrees and sunny in October, which is, from what I'm understanding, is that doesn't happen too often, does it?
Not in October, so you got lucky for sure. But, fall, we have great weather like that. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was amazing. Our day was amazing. A lot of people showed up, and it was everything I think that Angel and I, dreamt of for that day. But now that we're, a handful of months into in our marriage, it's we love it. I mean, I love it. I know she loves it, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure our marriage is as strong as possible. And while like we newlyweds, it's we're just trying to soak everything in as much as possible from people who have had successful marriages and relationships. Yeah. I know that Angel, one of the things she always does, she tries to understand the things that I'm researching or doing, or the things that I enjoy. Like, she tries as hard as possible to read the same books and research and understand, so that when we have a conversation, when we when we're looking at something, she's like, oh yeah, like I know this thing. So like she tries to narrow things that I know, and it's amazing. So Todd giving me a lot of great advice, and it's amazing.
As long as you guys are on the same page, man, it makes a huge difference. So that's great to hear that. So shifting gears to what we know best and what we spend majority of our time doing, good old asphalt and concrete. Todd, how did you get in this game, and how'd you end up with the Pavement Group?
When I was 4 years old, I got into a skid steer, and I'm just kidding. So, I mean, I won't tell the whole stories. I've told it a few times on the podcast, but I was not a great student. I got into my 20s, somewhat rudderless, played a lot of poker. I was bartending. I met my wife, and knew that I wanted kind of a better career. So I found my way into sales, and I met an incredible guy who became my mentor up in Boston. He owned a paving company, and that was 2003 or 2004, something like that. So I didn't know anything about paving. I had a couple technology sales jobs, enough to basically put on a resume. And I moved to Cape Cod. So I live about, an hour and a half south of Boston, excuse me, sort of a remote area. They were looking for a rep to build out this territory. I went in for the interview. I met him, and really he was someone that changed my life. Tremendous mentor. And he was just that, with those people. And I tell Brian this a lot. Like Brian Hess, who's the CEO of our company, has that, just has that presence. And when you're around him, all right, this is somebody I want to be around, that I know that has great vision and great charisma. This guy, Kevin, was the same way. And, I just told him, I said, I still haven't really even learned how to sell that well. I don't know anything about construction, but this seems really cool what you guys are doing. And so, I took a sales job there, learned about the industry, really fell in love with it. During that time, I was there for about 15 years. I became a partner. Kevin passed away. He got ALS very young. We were sort of on a similar journey to what we're doing here. Got cut short out, obviously. A few of us bought the company. It was an arranged marriage, didn't work out great. So, I left, took a hiatus for a little bit, and then I met these guys and decided to throw back in at the Paving Group. And it's been fantastic.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you always have that one person that takes you under their wing and gets you into an industry you never thought you would be in. If I can probably speak for all of us, I've never in a million years when growing up, I would say I'd want to get into asphalt, paving, and concrete. I wanted to be in the NFL, be a firefighter, something cool, and look where we end up. And it's amazing how life happens and the connections you meet take you from one leap to another. And then Eli, you were working at a restaurant or something like that, right? Or I think I briefly remember your story.
Yeah, I was actually working at the YMCA when I got into this industry. Yeah,
Was it at the concession stand? Is that where we're getting the restaurant?
The restaurant inside of it.
I like food. But yeah, no, so I was working at the YMCA, living in Wisconsin, going to college actually at the time. Right as I turned 18, or maybe like right before I turned 18, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, I gotta make more than $9 an hour. So I was, thinking, all right, the way to make more than $9 an hour is to do something labor intensive. Okay, now I can make $15 an hour. And I had a brand new seal coated driveways. So I brought my little resume in and handed it into Asphalt Associates in Wisconsin. And at the time, Brian's actually working there, fielders on our team, Mike and Amy, and handed him my resume and said, "Hey, I want to seal coat driveways." And he looks at me and goes, "Dude, you're gonna literally be a lobster by like noon. Like you're gonna be like that red. Like, do you see how pale you are?" I'm like, up. So at the time, he actually just closed the deal with a big gas station chain in Wisconsin. So he ended up hiring me to help manage that account. That account did, wonders, did really well. And from there, I slowly transitioned, ended up leaving school 2.5 years in, and then transitioned into Pavement Group like as soon as they opened it up. So,
Oh, nice.
it's similar to like what you said, man. It's like, it's crazy how things just line up, because if I didn't walk in at that exact time on the day that I walked in, I might not have met Brian and I might not be here today.
100%.
Pretty wild.
And I told this story before, but I was working at Lifetime Fitness selling gym memberships. In our sales team, we probably had 5-6 guys. We were all on shift that day, and so we had a random walk-in lineup. So walk-in is somebody who just walks in without setting an appointment, says, "I want to talk about getting a gym membership," or whatever. I happened to be up. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon. Happened to be up, and so that's how I met Zach. Was through working at Lifetime. Same thing. If I wouldn't have been working that day or wouldn't have been there or taking a piss and they're calling me and I missed it, I could have missed that opportunity, which would have missed all of what I'm doing now. So
That's wild.
yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was 2017. So right after I got out of school, I got my degree in exercise science, and then this is where I landed. So I thought I was going to be doing exercise rehabilitation for cancer patients, and fortunately that was not out yet because it wasn't covered by insurance, so it was a very new field. But then here I am, man. Ended up jumping into asphalt and concrete, now into the tech space, so to speak. So
That's the importance of putting yourself out there, though, right? And getting into situations and conversations that maybe aren't natural or comfortable, but to stretch yourself a little. And those are the things that happen. I met Brian. So we were the company that I was with before. We were part of something called the Pavement Network.
Yeah.
We met, once or twice a year. We were out in Las Vegas, and Brian happened to come with, I think it was the CEO of one of the companies. And I think he was working as a consultant. Not all that important to the story, but we met out in Las Vegas in like 2015, and we just sat and had a conversation, and we were doing nothing together, no connection other than we're both sales guys, kind of new in the national asphalt industry. And I kept his card. And so when things started to change in my career, I looked him up, like, "What are you up to?" And he started telling me, and they were just starting out the Pavement Group and top contractor school. So I went down to NPE and met with them, and we had some great conversations and stayed in touch for a couple of years, But if we hadn't connected, all those things, you don't have those conversations, you never know. And that's what it turned into for me.
100%. It's so crazy where life takes you, man. Staying on kind of the serious note here, then we can go back to digging around. But you guys, the Pavement Group, you guys are, one of the staples in our industry, but in contracting as a whole. One of the things you guys, from an outside perspective, looking at you guys is your presentation and the amount of value you guys bring to your customers is a lot different. So like as far as the sales side of it for you guys, what are some things that the Pavement Group kind of prides themselves on that has been able to set you guys apart from the other competition? And I think that can relate to nationally and or, self-performing contractors themselves.
Go ahead, Eli.
Yeah, man. So I'll start with something that I truly believe in, and it's the fact that we get people that come to their families quicker with less headaches than anyone else, ultimately, right? And what's important to what is important to these customers? What's important to these people? Well, it's more than likely other people. So the fact that we're able to do that through our technology, through our team, and our processes is, that's something that I truly believe in and hold the heart. Todd?
Yeah, no, that's dead on, man. It is at the heart of everything that we do. That's really foundationally part of who the Pavement Group is wanting to help. And that's a buzz term, right? We want to help our client, but we really do. We kind of built what we do, the technology piece and then the delivery piece around getting people home to their families earlier and having less things to worry about. I think we also do a good job of knowing who our customers aren't, not trying to get every single customer out there. We know, what's going to fit well. You don't want friction just because you're trying to get revenue into a company, especially where, we're 4 going on 5 years old. We're still a young company, really defining the next probably 20 years. You don't want to just be taking on garbage revenue or stuff that doesn't fit just to take it. So I think we've done a really good job of aligning ourselves, our core values with customers that operate and believe similar to the way that we do. So I think those are two, what Eli said, and then the, knowing our customers are 2 things that really helped us, grow fast.
That is an awesome point that you brought up there, knowing who your customers aren't. And we brought that up. So we started this podcast because we realized, through Spa on Site especially, we're talking to contractors from all different sizes all over the country. And one of the main challenges we're realizing is it's not really contractors have a problem getting customers because the demand's so high. Contractors have a problem picking and working for and with the right customers. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys' hands are tied behind their backs, and so they have to be yes men to every single revenue opportunity, which then ends up biting them in the butt because they don't have a good working relationship with this person. And when you don't have a good working relationship, one, small issue, whether they, accidentally spray tack on the customer's sidewalk, can turn into something much bigger than it needs to be, and that's because you're working with the wrong people. And so the goal for a lot of these smaller contractors should be to try to figure out how can we either identify and only stick with the customers that fit our avatar, quote unquote, and fit our pay structure, pay model, and then eliminate and weed out the other ones. And it's hard for guys to understand and accept that, hey, you might lose revenue on this side, but by saying no to that opportunity leaves the door wide open for other opportunities and the right opportunity to come through. So
yeah, absolutely.
I can see why you guys fall into it.
That doesn't meet, that doesn't meet your, I don't want to call them standards, but I guess to some degree standards, the way you operate can create chaos in your organization, and what that costs you, it's hard to measure. But you might think you're getting, we're getting 30% margin on it, so we'll put up with the headaches. Are you really, though, with what it's really costing you on the back end? Understanding that. And the smaller contractors don't have the infrastructure sometimes or the time to really break that down. But I think, you guys are obviously a forward-thinking company. We're technology-driven, so that becomes part of the thought process. What's the actual cost here of doing business, Yep.
And then even taking it back to what Eli said is getting the customers home back to their families. Like, I looked around, there's one day I was driving home, this was a couple years ago, and I looked around and saw how many people were stuck in traffic, with their head against the window on their head, just miserable, man. And at the end of the day, we all don't really want to work. I mean, there's some of us who enjoy working. I know I do. But if it really came down to it, I'd rather be at home or doing something else with my family and friends. So, like, keeping that in mind and taking the different approach as to just we fix your guys' driveways or your parking lots is a much better angle, much more sellable angle that's probably propelled you guys to where you're at.
What, and I'll compliment Eli here. Something I think that's made him successful early on in his career is understanding the person that he's working with, right? And knowing what their background is and what their family life is like and what they like to do, and really building that deep rapport and relationship. And then you go to fight for those people. They become your friends, really. You're not just trying to get their work done. You're really trying to fight for them and deliver on what you promised, because you want to see them get home to their family. You want to see them enjoy their weekend and not be sweating out a seal coat project they got going on in Dubuque. You know what I mean?
Eli, what would you say are some of the hardest things or biggest challenges you guys as a national contractor deal with that maybe is kind of unique or unexpected from what you guys do?
That's a good question.
I'm full of them.
Yeah, man. Todd, do you have a good answer to this one? I might need a second.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different things that the national piece brings into it. I think so if we have a customer, let's say, a portfolio-based customer is a great customer for us because we cover the whole country. Again, our technology that we lead with really helps them understand their assets and builds a good budgeting program and all that stuff. So if you have someone that sits in Chicago, it's hard for them to understand why things in San Francisco are so expensive, and so that price difference. And then also, for us, it's really important to have regional experts because, if you're working in the Dallas area, for example, there's a lot of treated subbase that goes on. You want to know you don't want to just go out there and go mill and pave in Dallas, mill and pave in Miami, mill and pave in New England. You got to know that there's a whole lot of other factors there. And that can be challenging. So you want to make sure we have the right teammates, through our vendors, our contractors, our partners, that help us understand that, so that we can be the market experts, so to speak.
Yeah. You thought of your answers, Eli?
I mean, that is the truth. I mean, it is, I've done projects in Norfolk, Virginia, where we scoped them and we thought that the scope that we were presenting was, going to be the right scope when, we proposed it somewhere else in the country, and all of a sudden we, start digging into it and tearing it up. And we're like, well, nope, we probably should have looking it out a little bit more. So that's, honestly, I think that is, Todd, we could kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, and not over polished either, right? Knowing can handle. And
as salespeople, I think like that's something that I personally learned very quickly. I'm a people person and salesperson at heart, and like I want to help people as much as possible. It's like, hey, I've got this problem. Can you help me? I'm like, yes. And you say yes one too many times, all of a sudden you can't deliver on it. So
yeah,
and I've learned that very quickly, and I believe that I've corrected that, pretty well. But just under promising and over delivering has always been what I've been striving for, right?
Yeah, that's the best case.
Over deliver. Like you're gonna keep customers for life. People are gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy, and it's gonna make everything so much easier.
Yeah, Todd. One of your guys' biggest challenges is managing partners, and partners being subcontractors. The pride in the construction industry is pretty high, so not a lot of guys like being subcontractors. Like signing other paving companies' terms. How have you guys been able to, balance the respect level? Because a lot of subcontractors feel like they get beat up. Part of the reason why we quit working for general contractors was they don't give a shit about who you are, what you do, how long you've been in business, what kind of company you run. They're only stuck to their schedule and their customer. So how do you guys manage the relationships with your subcontractors to continue to get them to do work and send you guys bids?
I think for us, understanding that the relationship is very connected between our customer and our vendors, our partners, subcontractors. And we're sort of a conduit to make sure both are successful. And if you take that approach and you don't try to take an adversarial approach, there's a lot of people that have done national paving. Some have done it really well. Some have been horrendous. You hear the horror stories for real. And Jay Duran, who you guys know Jay from the Top Contractors. I mean, he helps coach our leadership team, and he's just brilliant and always makes you think a different way. He said something to me about a year ago that I hadn't realized, but with a lot of the contractors we have, they're smaller mom and pop companies, right? Which is a good model for us because they're really good at what they do out in the field, but they don't have all the back end infrastructure. These are folks that might be sitting at the dinner table at night, filling out their invoices, getting up at 5 a.m. to get the crew going and everything in between. They don't have time to market and network and do all of that stuff that we do. That's kind of natural to us being part of a bigger company. So we're really their connection from Main Street to Wall Street is the way you put it. And that's pretty powerful. But you don't want to abuse that we love when especially our top contractors do well, when they have a banner year, when they do $1 million+ with us in work. Like, that's amazing to us because, we know that they're creating a better quality of life for their teams and for their families. But they're getting close to us as well. So through Top Contractor School, those retreats, we've built really deep relationships there too. So I'm not going to call somebody that I see twice a year that we're on this journey with, be like, hey, you got to get out there and do it for this price and no change order. Like, who wants to live like that? You know what I mean? I don't want to. Eli doesn't want to. Nobody else in that building behind him wants to. We'd much rather grow together. It's way more fun. So I think we start that way and we try to maintain. Of course, things go sideways on occasion and then you find out maybe a contractor isn't who you thought they were. That happens now and then. But for the most part, we've been able to build a really cool community. So one team, which is what we're really launching this year, and that's a collaboration. That's bringing everybody together and supporting each other and providing resources to, especially, we also love companies that are just starting out, been in business for a couple of years, a young guy that's hard charged and went on his own, he's taking a chance. If we can help build that, that's pretty cool, So that's what really, I think, helps us build our stable with the right people and keeps them engaged.
Yeah. That's a great way of approaching that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to kind of piggyback off of Todd, just understand that it is a two-way street. Like, we are partners in this with all of our contractors. I always, especially when we bring on new contractors, sometimes they'll call and they're like, so you guys just take the lowest bid, right? So I should just be the lowest bid. I'm like, well, no, sure, pricing does affect, it has to be in line, but profit is not a bad word. Like, you guys need to make money, you need to put food on the table. And we want to help do that. And so understanding that it is, you have to be aligned culturally and, we're here to help. They're here to help, and just, understanding that. And, if contractors don't align, culturally, they might not fit, and, it is what it is, and it's okay. But, at the end of the day, we're trying to help as much as possible.
Yeah.
So everything that Todd said, it's just ensuring that you're just aligned, and it's, it's two-way street. We're here to help, and in turn, we just want to help our customers, help our contractors, and kind of be that middle between.
The industry's starting to shift where, especially the paving industry, where more guys are out to help each other. It's, it's not as much dog-eat-dog world. I haven't been out there in a long time, or I haven't been out in the paving industry for a long time. But from what I've seen the past couple of years to even, what I've heard with a lot of our customers who've been in the game for a long time, realizing that using each other and learning from each other and even creating these working relationships with other contractors is all a win-win for everybody. So what a lot of guys have problems with, and we've had the same problem, is we'll say yes to stuff that is not necessarily inside of our ideal scope of work, like fencing or whatever. Fencing, somebody wants us to do fencing, and we're like, we have a couple guys who done carpentry before, so we can pull them off the concrete crew and the asphalt crew, and we can maybe put up this fence. Every time we've done that, it's bit us in the ass, versus we can still make the same amount of revenue, but we bring in a partner that they can come and who actually does fencing, come take care of that issue, and we both get paid. We both get, go home happy at the end of the day. So not being afraid to say no to what you can't do, but you can take on different avenues in your business, get more revenue from it, just as long as you do have good working relationships with other vendors doing different kind of stuff. So it's a very fine balance that you have, but really it's for the better. I want to shift and go to like this one. You guys are might think about this for a minute or so. What was the worst case scenario or worst situation you guys have ever had on a job site? The project that's gone wrong from hell.
And then back to hell.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Todd might have a different answer, but I have one that we worked on. I think it was 2 years ago or so now.
He's like, he was in Denver, Colorado. This company that's green and black, and
Hayden was the sales. No, I had a job where we scoped it. There was a move to replace it. It was in Virginia, the concrete lot, and customer said, "Hey, the budget for replacing concrete, can you do an asphalt?" And we just said, "Well, sure. Like that shouldn't be too hard." And I completely just bypassed the due diligence part of, well, hey, this is a different territory. Maybe we should look into this. And as soon as we ripped that concrete up, there's a reason it was concrete and not asphalt. The pavers start sinking as soon as we try to pave. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was something we just had to go back to the customer and say, hey, we messed up on this one. We're gonna figure this out. And we ended up just pouring back in concrete. But I mean, that's luckily we don't have a lot of issues, but that was probably that.
One of those nightmare jobs. What'd you guys have to do? Is it because the subgrade was so soft and okay?
Just boat close to the beach, all that good stuff. So should have done our due diligence on that part, but you live, you learn, and certainly learned on that one. We'll do it again.
Not in Virginia, anyways. What about you, Todd?
Well, this is pre-Pavement Group, but there's one that's seared into my memory. It was a large national retailer, and we were self-performing. My previous company, we were a self-performing company. So, the end of the year, this company, through a national guy that we work with, had some money to spend, and they wanted to repave a few more of their parking lots. So it was about a $500,000 job, large, and it was going into. So they started the project. The money got released like middle of October. We couldn't start until right after Halloween because of the Halloween blackout. And then we had basically 10 days before they got into Black Friday preparations or whatever. So there was a real tight window there. And it was getting pushed down from corporate, apparently, through this contractor to us. And all great people. We had worked with them before, but just this compressed time frame. And they didn't tell the managers or the regional managers. So we literally showed up and started milling. And then this woman that was the general manager for the store pulls in at 6:30 in the morning. We started 4 a.m., just started milling the lot. We had half of it shut down. Everything was going perfect. The trucks were getting there. We were rolling. She pulls up and lost her mind on us. She's like, "What are you doing?" So all she could envision was this project was gonna, go into Thanksgiving week and screw up Black Friday. And she was right. But because it rained. And then it rained. And man, I had to be out there 4 a.m. every day just so she didn't beat somebody up on the crew. I mean, this was in Rhode Island. She was tough, right? Well, come to find out, her bonus, maybe 20 or 30% of her overall income for the year was based on Black Friday sales, the week leading up there and then going into Christmas. And she's just seeing herself personally lose all this money, all the chaos of the store. Then the job just didn't go great. It started great. And then, again, it rained. We lost the crew and then the plant broke and everything that could have gone wrong. But every morning I had to get over there knowing I'd see her little Subaru pull up at 5:30, 5:45, just knowing she was just going to scream at me for an hour.
Yeah, here I go. Shit, here we go.
It was just one of those perfect storm type jobs.
Yeah.
I remember that one because I didn't sleep for about 3 weeks.
Dude, and when you have those and you're in the middle of them, there is nothing you're more excited for when that thing is over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That was the best Christmas I ever had.
Yeah. Love this. Yeah, oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, I would say the worst one we had was we were doing this commercial parking lot, and it rained pretty heavy. But anyways, we were doing a full remove and replace 6-inch full depth. And got the first lot done fine. We go to the top lot, and as we're going, we start milling out the parking stalls first. And, dude, that mill sunk so deep, hit a soft spot, and it was like just stuck. There was no moving that thing. So we had to call a mobile crane company to come out, and they had to pick the mill up out of the soft spot and drop it. So that took about 3 hours. So we finally got it out, and we start milling. We're like, all right, let's stay away from that section. We go to a different section, started milling that. Within 5 minutes of milling that other section, same thing happened again. So we had to call the crane out twice in one day.
Wow.
Got stuck. I mean, if you ever seen a work in 120i mill get picked up in the air, I mean, that's a big-ass machine.
That is a big machine.
Getting pulled out by a crane was unbelievable. I mean, we had both office complexes. Everyone was like sitting outside. We should have got popcorn or something. Just made it a little bit better. But dude, it was insane. So again, same thing. When it rains, it pours, and just have those jobs that occasionally just can't predict it. You can have all your ducks in a row, and you just never know with construction.
Well, once you start digging up the ground, it can be anybody's guess, We had a sinkhole this year turned into a $110,000 project. Started as a $2,800 quote, turned into a $110,000 or $111,000 fix. I mean, because you start getting out of there, like, oh, no, we got some problems here,
Yeah, this is a lot worse, and it's going to swallow some cars if you don't fix it right.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh, that's crazy. Top Contractor School is really unique because it blends business with personal growth and development. How much have you guys seen, and what has been like the biggest growth that you guys have seen by being surrounded with that group, but on a more intimate level and like a day-to-day basis almost, because you guys are actually like living it and breathing it? What would you say the biggest thing you've seen improvement on has been for you, Todd?
I equate it to kind of like being on a football team, like a college or NFL football team. The accountability, like you don't want to be the worst one in that room. Everybody brings the level up. It's competitive in that respect, and then what books are you reading right now? And, like a lot of that stuff, those fun conversations, you don't want to be the one that's like, I didn't have a good year. I'm falling off, or I'm not doing this. Like, they keep you sharp, man. I'm sure you've seen, and, Zach got an award there this year, very well earned, for leadership. And it's because he works hard at it, and you do. So the tone is set, that you take away from there and spread throughout your company. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me.
That's awesome. What about you, Eli?
Yeah, no, Todd, that's a great answer, and I can attest to that. For me, though, honestly, it's just soaking in everything from, I'm such a young dude in the industry, right? So, as you are, Caden. Mm-hmm. And so, like, to be able to bring, some young ideas from somebody who's came from outside of the industry, and also learn from people who have been in the industry for a very long time, learn all these things. Like, there are, just so many different ideas and conversations and things that learn from other people. And to be around that room of very high performers, and, again, the thoughts that you don't want to be the least performing one in that room, because everyone is holding everyone accountable. What books are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? All those things like add together. And as a young person, just soaking all that in, like, that's helped me a ton. So I don't know if there's really one specific thing. Like, there's just been so many things, and just being around the right people, being able to call people on me for help. If I ever have any, there's something that I need help with professionally, personally, like all these things.
Yeah.
You know, the first day you get there to these retreats, which go on for a few days, and a lot of the guys come in, or guys and women come in a little early or whatever. You know, if you get out of the gym at 6 a.m., you're going to bump into a couple of people.
Yeah.
First order of business is always a walk, a sunrise walk, sometimes a run, and then a prayer. There's a prayer group that gets together at 7:30, then usually the things kick off at 8 or 8:30. And that just sets the tone. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't work out every day. You know, you probably can't guess looking at me, but when I'm there, I do. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to get up at 5:45, and it's not like you go there and it's a boondoggle where everybody's at the bar till midnight and just happy to be out of the house and that sort of thing. People are there, they're focused. This is the retreat specifically, but focused and there to get some work done, and the environment's awesome.
And improve and bring back, stuff to their company. And that's a good way of putting it. And the biggest thing I learned about some of these masterminds and these events is you have to take a buffer day or two in between to get that knowledge that you've learned out on paper, out on a plan, because so many times people spend money going to these retreats and masterminds to get fired up, have all kinds of ideas, and then they go back to work on Monday and get thrown right back into the shit and completely lose and waste what they just spent the whole last weekend learning and growing. So understanding how to take that information and digest it and implement it is a whole nother skill that a lot of people I feel lose because they throw themselves back into the fire too quickly. So that's one thing I've learned personally with, and I joined another group earlier last year. And when they exposed that to me, I was like, holy crap. Yeah. God knows how much I've missed really from sitting in these great events and stuff like that. And the information goes nowhere because my mind goes a million miles an hour when I get back and I have all the problems and phone calls I got to answer. So definitely take time to digest that. I got a question for you, Todd. What in the hell is that picture behind you? Is that the green jacket? Oh, okay. It's a golf one.
I put that up there so people will ask me what it is.
It's a good conversation piece.
It's Bill Murray's character, Carl Spackler from Caddyshack, getting a green jacket at Augusta from Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus. And those are like three of my favorite humans that ever lived. So I love this picture. It's by this guy, David O'Keefe, that does all these cartoony lithographs. And I just love it. I love the style of it. And these three are three of my favorite people ever. Yeah. And there's a bunch of, I don't know how much you can see, but like Jack Nicholson's there, and the dude from Dallas, like a bunch of people from that time frame.
From that era?
The background there, yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was cool when I kind of moved it from office to office.
That's freaking awesome. Well, I love that one. And did you guys see that commercial last night? It was like a Caddyshack kind of spinoff. It wasn't Bill Murray who was playing his role. I can't think of who it was. Might have been like Paul Rudd or somebody like that. Dang, I can't remember. But they did a pretty good rendition of like a Caddyshack, but made it in a commercial for like Pepsi or something like that. So don't quote me if you guys remember what it is, but you guys have to check it out. Caddyshack rendition. Who's the best golfer on your guys' team?
Not me.
Not Eli? All right. We won't go hit sticks with him.
Mike Cassetti is, I think, he's a 4 handicap.
Ooh.
Yeah. But he was living in Florida. He just moved to outside of Columbia, or Greensboro, South Carolina. So he probably won't be able to play as much golf. And especially, he joined our sales team maybe 4 or 5 months ago. So he's going to be very busy this year too. But
yeah.
But if you get that advantage, right? If you live in a warm weather climate, you're going to be able to play a lot more.
Yeah.
Mike, I think, is hands down would be the company champion.
Does Brian play any golf?
Not a lot.
Top Golf? The Angry Birds at Top Golf?
Probably.
I could see that. That's freaking hilarious. Well, this has been fantastic. I know you guys got a million things to do and $1 million to sell, a couple million of them. And, I appreciate you guys' insight that you brought to the table, and, obviously highly respect you guys as individuals, but more so, or even more so, is the company culture and you guys as a team that you guys have built, and you guys are all part of it, and continue to tribute and set the standard for the paving space and for the contracting space actually in general. So thank you guys for your time. And we got to reschedule the other way around where I want to come on your guys' podcast. And
For sure. I'm 100%, man. We want to have you on. And this was awesome. Thank you. We're loving watching the journey you guys are on with Spot on Site and, everything the National Pavement Partners are doing. So definitely we want to invite you on. We'll do a little home and away session here.
Yeah.
We'll host the next one. We'll get it on in the next couple of weeks, and we can turn the tables a little bit on you.
I love it, man. Love it. And Eli, thanks for hopping on last minute and being flexible with it. So you guys are awesome. But that was episode 14 of the Apps and Asphalt podcast. This is Todd Gorell and Eli. I say your last name, Stoehr.
Stoehr, just like you grab food Stoehr.
I just in Eli Stoehr. Thank you so much, guys, for hopping on. Check out the Pavement Group. Check out Top Contractor School if you guys haven't, and definitely give these guys a follow because they're going to big places. So thank you, guys.